When you first go through sight loss, you might feel the need to hide your blindness. Today, I want to talk about how you might do that, and more importantly, why we feel the need to hide the fact that we're losing our vision. What's up, VIPs? Derek here, back with another video. And I know for me, for many years, and even sometimes now after all of these years, I feel the need to hide the fact that I'm visually impaired. Now, some of those cases to me seem like cases I don't need to bring up the fact that I'm visually impaired. For example, if I'm talking to someone and I'm only going to talk to them once, maybe somebody who's doing some work on my house, maybe somebody that I'm interacting with at a store, and I'm probably never going to see them again, I don't feel the need to tell them that I'm visually impaired. It's not that I'm trying to hide it, it's that I don't want to go into a long, lengthy process of explaining my vision loss, how it happened, what's going on, how I do this with somebody that, well, frankly, I'm never going to talk to again. So it's not that I'm hiding it, it's just that, I don't want to go into it. But there are definitely times when I feel like, I don't want to talk about this, or I don't want people to know because I want to be viewed as a certain type of person, not a good because you're blind kind of person. Maybe you face that. Maybe you've lost your sight or you're going through sight loss right now and you're trying to hide it. I read an article recently, which I'll link down below, and he talked about losing his sight and trying to hide it from the people he was around. If he'd go somewhere, he would shuffle his feet in case there was a step coming up that he wasn't aware of. He would find a wall to hang out at, that way he wasn't walking around a room at a party, bumping into people and things like that. He even said that he would wave at people when he met them so he didn't have to miss out on the outstretched hand of a handshake. I'm not sure how that went. Surely they still reached out and he was just standing there waving, but who knows? That's a whole nother question for another video. But the point is, he was trying to hide it. And in this article, he said, basically, by the way, none of that worked and was sort of embarrassing in the long haul. Now, I've done those kinds of things, and I probably still do those kinds of things. In fact, I will reach out first to shake somebody's hand. That way, they're having to find my hand instead of me finding theirs. I will do things like make sure when I'm walking down steps, I'll find the step while I'm talking to a person so that I don't try to find it and look visually impaired later. I try not to get close to things when I'm around people. That way I don't look blind. And I think that's the thing that I hear in my head. You don't want to look blind. You can't look blind. If you look blind, that's going to be bad. I don't know what looking blind means because, well, let's face it, people say, oh, wow, you don't look blind. And we get mad and wonder what that means. But here's the thing. I know what it means in my head, and so that's what I try to hide. And the reason I try to do that, like I said earlier, is because I want to be viewed as a person, not as a blind person. I mean, you've heard it said, like, wow, you're really good for a blind person. Wow, you get around really well for a blind person. It's like, how would I get around if I weren't blind? Would you think that, wow, if you were sighted, you'd look awful? Is that how it would be? And so we hide it. We tuck it away. We say, oh, I don't want to talk about this. And again, in some cases, maybe you don't need to talk about it. You don't want to tell that service person that your whole life story about losing your sight. But are you hiding it from your friends? Are you hiding it from the people around you? And here's the big question. Are you trying to hide it from yourself? Now, I know that sounds dumb, right? How can I hide it from myself? I look in the mirror and I can't see. But are you trying to say, you know what? I have overcome this. I don't even have to think about being blind anymore because I have all these things that I do that nobody talks about it, nobody remembers it, nobody brings it up. So I don't have to bring it up and I don't have to talk about it. Look, the truth is sight loss is hard. It's hard for you, it can be hard for your family, and it can be difficult to try to talk about with other people. Now, I don't mind talking about it with other people, especially if they're genuinely interested. But sometimes talking about it a lot can be, well, just overwhelming. And so look, if you're facing this moment of like, I'm trying to hide it from other people. I know some situations we try to look more blind so people will believe it. But on the opposite end of that, we try to hide it and look really sighted so that people will not ask us, or so that we don't look blind, or whatever the fill-in of the blank is for you and the reason that you hide it. Now, look, I could tell you right now, hey, don't hide your blindness, be proud, that sort of thing. And that's fine, that's true, don't hide it, be who you are. But look, we all face it. I face it right now. At 20 plus years later, I still face it. And I want to hide it, and I don't want to talk about it. So we all go through it. I think the best thing that I can say to you today is that number one, we're all facing it. We all face it whether we've lost our sight a month ago or 20 years ago. So that's the first thing to remember. And number two, it is important to not be ashamed of your sight loss, even though that is a process that's not going to happen today. You're not going to watch this video and magically feel no shame anymore. You're probably going to feel ashamed of it, but you don't have to, because it's not something to be ashamed of. Sure, it's difficult and it's hard, but it's part of your story, and your story is worth telling. So don't hide your sight loss just because you feel like it will make things a little better or a little easier. In fact, you never know what'll happen when you just let it out and begin to talk to people about it, because you have a great story to tell. So my question for you today is this: what have you done to try to hide your sight loss? I mean, if you've never tried to hide it, great, share that too. But what are some things that you've tried to do? Have they worked? Have they not worked? What's going on in your life when it comes to hiding your sight loss? I'd love to hear about it, and I know others would as well, so let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you like this video, if you found it helpful, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it out with somebody that you know. And if you're new around here, my name is Derek, and I help people just like you to discover life after sight loss. Here on the channel, we do life advice, product reviews, and tough topics just like this one. So consider subscribing and turning on those notifications so you don't miss another single video. And finally, remember that sight loss isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Derek, and I'll see you in the next one.